A hotel's a home away from home, but it can also be a mecca for dislocation and strange encounters. That's the setting for the Hotel Nepenthe, a play by John Kunz. To tell us about the new production by the Brown Box Theater Project is the play's director, Alex Lonati. Thank you very much for being with us,
Thanks
Alex.
for having me.
What about that word, Nepenthe? I didn't know what this means until I read about your play.
Absolutely. Well, just to throw some dramaturgy at you, it actually has two meanings. It comes from the story of the Odyssey, actually, and it was used as almost a medicinal kind of mythical potion that helped people forget their grief. So people would take it when they came home from war and just forget the sadness of their life. It also is a plant, an actual plant that exists, that is this beautiful, weird-looking flower that is actually carnivorous, so it can eat small rodents and bugs, which feels actually pretty representative of the show in a way that it's beautiful and weird, and you find little hidden mysteries everywhere you look.
When I look at the promotional materials for this production, I'm thinking film noir, people with a past they don't want you to know about or that they want to leave behind them. Is this pretty much what's going on?
That's exactly right. It's a show full of secrets. It's a difficult show to summarize because there are 4 actors that play about 20 characters, and they all have different storylines that weave in and out of each other and kind of come back. We revisit some characters, never see others again, but it all just creates this very silly, weird, mysterious, kind of spooky world.
Well, it's described as a bit of the Twilight Zone, but you've also got a lot of pop sitcoms going back maybe, what, 1970s vintage or something?
Yeah, it takes place now, but also all the time, in that we have cell phones and current day references, but a lot of vintage references as well. We do a lot with television shows from the 60s and 70s. A lot of our costumes have some 80s and 90s throwbacks, so you'll kind of see a little bit of all of the past 50 years.
Now, situate this play in the performance space. This is going to be over near Fort Point Channel, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. 290 Congress Street, Atlantic Wharf.
Now, I read one review of another production of this company, and they said the play looked as if it had been commissioned by the landlord for vacant real estate retail space. Is that pretty much what this is going to look like?
We're actually going to do something a little different. This show, because there are probably 10 different storylines and different locations, it's not going to have a realistic setting. Our scenic designer, Abby Schenker, she came up with this brilliant concept of picture frames, almost like you're getting little glimpses into hotel rooms. And we have these 3 different size picture frames that we will move around and create new spaces with. And so it looks more like a sculpture or an art piece, and then you have the cast climbing all over them.
Now, one other dynamic here is you've got something, what, 20 different roles?
20 different characters, yes.
And 4 performers?
4 performers.
How do you make that work?
Well, we've worked really hard through the rehearsal process to make them specific, and I'm very lucky to have an incredible cast. We have 4 talented Boston actors: Michael Underhill, Rebecca Schneebaum, Margaret Clark, and Cameron Torres. And I'm very blessed to really just have a talented group. We've worked on physicality and where your voice lies, and we've worked really hard to make sure each character they play is distinctly different from the one before it. So I think audiences will be actually quite surprised by how well these actors transform themselves.
And what about the world they inhabit? I mean, on one hand, it could be just like a hotel, but there are some other kind of maybe extra normal things, paranormal things going on too?
Definitely. A lot of it, actually most of the show does not take place in the hotel, but it kind of surrounds this idea of the Hotel Nepenthe as this almost mythical being. Everyone's trying to get to it or come from it. And they talk about some dubious happenings in the hotel. There are some mythical creatures or maybe figments of their imaginations. So you never really know what's real and what's not real.
This is BNN News, and we're talking with Alex Lonati from the Brown Box Theater Project. I was talking about the playwright here, John Kunz. He's from the Boston area?
He is. He's a Boston playwright. He does some really incredible work, all of it very weird, like the Hotel Nepenthe. I'm very fortunate to know him personally, and We've talked to him quite a bit throughout this process. He's actually doing a talk back with us on this first Saturday performance on Saturday the 3rd. So if anyone's interested in that, that'll be a whole lot of fun to get his take on the wacky world.
You know, this play was written how many years ago now?
It was originally produced in 2011.
So I know it seems a lot has changed since 2011. I mean, just thinking of all the, the short-term rentals, this world, the city has changed so much. Does that ever enter into your mind when you're thinking, why are we doing this now?
You know, I thought that it would be harder to connect to now, but actually, with the world as it is right now, it feels remarkably relevant. I think what the through line, what connects all the characters, is that they are all searching for connection with other people, and they talk about trying to find meaning through the chaos. And in this world today, I think things are pretty chaotic, just in where we are, and I personally find myself always trying to figure out why things are happening, what I can do about it, and to find connection. So it actually feels more relevant today, perhaps.
We should also mention this is going to be offered as a free admission.
That's
Why
correct.
did you decide to do that with this play?
So Brown Box Theater Project's mission is to bring high quality art to places without ready access to it, and breaks down both financial and geographical barriers. So that means when we perform in Boston, all of our performances are completely free of charge. And then we actually take the show on the road and go down to the Delmarva Peninsula and perform in all those communities who don't usually have professional theater access.
You know, of course, that means you're also going to be bringing in people who maybe haven't been to live theater before. What's it like having them come in?
It's fantastic. So many people are anxious for art in their lives and really excited to not only see new pieces of work, but participate in it and talk about it. This show will be an interesting one for that specifically. It's very different. It is not your normal linear story, start to finish. I think people will have a great time trying to dissect it.
Well, one other thing that intrigues me about the film noir element here is that one place where it really still is there to be seen, it's around Fort Point Channel, isn't it?
Absolutely. It kind of feels shadowy and spooky, and the light is always beautiful and dramatic, and it'll kind of fit in just perfectly.
We should mention if people want some more information, because I think you do have to sort of pre-sign up to get the admission?
Yeah, folks are welcome to just show up. As we mentioned, tickets are absolutely free, but we do, you can reserve them ahead of time through our website, brownboxtheater.org, and that's theater with an R-E, so brownboxtheater.org.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Hope you can see the show.
From the Brown Box Theater Project, Alex Lonati.